Hello art beaters! Becky here for artbeats.com, and I've got a brand new video for you today. Today we're talking all about jump rings. I'm going to explain what they are, what to look for size, how to use them, along with all kinds of other great tips for using these essentials in your jewelry making. So let's dive right into the world of jump rings. Jump rings are an integral part of jewelry making. They hold our designs together and allow us to embellish in numerous ways. From adding charms to a bracelet or necklace, to lengthening clasps or extending a necklace, jump rings are always needed. They even become the very foundation of designs when used in chainmail like this. And I'm going to share some tips and information that will teach you more about the importance of finding the right jump ring for your needs, especially when creating chainmail. Let's start with jump ring materials. Jump rings are available in different materials and many different colors. Aluminum jump rings can come in a wide variety of colors, and they're really lightweight. Brass jump rings are economical, and plated brass jump rings are available in a variety of metal finishes, like gunmetal and black finish, antique silver, and more. Bronze and copper jump rings are going to offer unique shine to your designs, and they're quite sturdy. And for high quality accents, you can choose sterling silver jump rings, silver filled jump rings, or even gold filled options. So there really is something for every style. And the type of jump ring you choose will all depend on what you want for your design. If you're trying to add more color to your designs, aluminum jump rings will probably work best. If you only want the finest materials included in your designs, sterling silver and gold filled is for you. You can even find jump rings in unique shapes like ovals and triangles and even hearts. And these types of jump rings feature openings on the long sides that make it harder for attached components to slip out of. One thing I also wanted to mention was saw cut versus machine cut, or cut with shears. When shopping for jump rings, you may come across certain descriptions: saw cut, machine cut, or cut with shears. And these techniques do make a difference in the jump ring. A saw cut jump ring typically has a clean, flush cut, which allows the jump ring to close very tightly without any gaps. This is an example of a saw cut jump ring. You can see the ends are very smooth and flat because they're saw cut, and it's a really nice finish when closed. Cutting jump rings with shears can leave the metal pinched on one or both sides of the cut, which can cause a gap and prevent the jump ring from closing properly. And machine cut jump rings can have that same pinched ends and gap. And you're probably going to notice this more on jump rings you make yourself. The ends might be a little more uneven versus saw cut. The quality of shear or machine cut jump rings can vary, and we have examples on our website to show you what those look like side by side. And which type you use depends on the application, availability, and budget. This is an example of that saw cut versus machine cut edge. Again, this is an extreme example just to show you how those different edges look. There are 3 important measurements to a jump ring when you're measuring a jump ring. What you end up doing with the jump ring will determine what measurements to consider. So you have the outside diameter, which goes from the outside of the jump ring, from here to here. You have the inner diameter, which measures from the inside of the ring across to the other side of the inside of the ring. And you also have the wire diameter, or gauge. So how thick around is the wire that the jump ring is made with. Measuring the wire diameter of your jump ring is easy with the right tools. There are 3 standard tools that are commonly used in measuring jump rings. There's the American Standard wire gauge, and there is the digital calipers like this one, and we also have a brass millimeter gauge that slides a lot like this, but the measurements are listed on the sides. The American Standard Wire Gauge, also known as the Brown and Sharp standard, is the standard most commonly used in the US and Canada for measuring the diameter of a wire. This wire gauge is round and has notches around the perimeter and graduated sizes to accept the wire. Each notch is a particular size or gauge, and the gauges run from 0, which is the biggest end, to all the way to 30 at the smallest end. And you have to remember that when it comes to gauges, a larger number indicates a thinner, more flexible gauge of wire, and vice versa. So this 0 is really big, really thick wire. And each of the gauge sizes has an equivalent measurement in inches on the other side of the tool. So to measure the wire you're working with, you would slip it through these slots to see what gauge wire this is. Now you can see that it just barely fits through that 14 gauge wire. If you go smaller, it does not fit. So you're trying to find which wire that it fits through. So it fits through all of these, so you just have to keep going to those thinner numbers to see where exactly it can fit. So we can deduce that this is a 14 gauge jump ring, and that is the equivalent of 0.064 inches. The electronic digital calipers slide open for measuring the outside of an object, but they also have a section up here that fits inside an object to get an inside measurement, and it displays your measurements in either inches or millimeters. We have it on 2 millimeters here, but you can switch to inches with the press of a button. So what size jump rings can you use in chainmail? Size is important to the look and weight of a chain or chainmail design, but the design will really work best when the inner diameter and the wire diameter fall within a particular proportion. This proportion is called aspect ratio. And the aspect ratio is the relationship between the inner diameter of the jump ring and the diameter of the wire the jump ring is made out of. And you can find out the aspect ratio of a particular jump ring with this little formula that we have provided on our website. I will leave a link to that in the video description. So keep that aspect ratio in mind. If the inner diameter of the jump ring is too big or the wire diameter is too small in proportion to each other, the weave of the chain or chainmail will end up too loose. And if the inner diameter is too small or the wire diameter is too large, the weave will end up too tight, and you might not be able to link the jump rings together. Knowing the aspect ratio can also help you alter a certain pattern. Let's say you like a particular design, but the jump rings used were large and bulky and you want to use smaller ones. As long as the aspect ratio of the jump rings, those smaller jump rings, is the same or falls within the range the pattern calls for, you can use different sizes of jump rings. I also wanted to show you the basics of opening and closing a jump ring. This is going to come in handy whether you're making chainmail or just creating simple connection points within your jewelry. To open a jump ring properly, you're going to want two sets of chain nose pliers, chain or flat nose pliers. These are just basic chain nose pliers. The inside of the jaws are flat. You can also use bent nose pliers. These are really great for getting into tight spaces. And then flat nose pliers are flat on the inside like the chain nose pliers, but they're a little bit wider. So you need 2 sets of pliers, and you're going to want to grip your jump ring on both sides of the cut. And what you do is you simply twist the jump ring open gently. So let's show how that's done. So I've got my chain nose pliers in place, and you don't want your grip too tight, and you just simply twist until the ends are flush together. Oftentimes you might hear a little click when the jump ring is in place. There, that looks really nice and even. And the same applies for opening the jump ring. You just give it a gentle little twist and open however far you need. Easy. So I've showed you this really pretty chainmail example for how you can use jump rings. This tutorial is on our website along with some other really great chainmail tutorials. We also have tutorials for different ways to use jump rings. They're a staple in a lot of jewelry making projects. They make great connection points for something like this. There's a lot of jump rings here connecting all the pretty crystals. You can also just simply layer them in with your focals. I think these jump rings really space out the focal charms in this piece nicely. Again, they're essential for charm bracelets. You can even make your own jump rings to the sizes and specifications that you need for your project with wire. These jump rings were made by coiling or twisting wire together. So you can create endless amounts of jump rings for your projects. So there's all kinds of ways to use them. Like I said earlier, don't forget to head to our website, artbeads.com, for more tutorials on jump rings. We've got a great, more in-detail video about how to open and close jump rings. We even have tools that make opening and closing jump rings easier. We've got a video on that. And of course, we have more tutorials for chainmail, and we've got a great blog post all about jump rings to go along with this video, and that'll dive more into that aspect ratio and how to find that out. So please make sure to check the links in the video description. We've got even more jump ring help for you on our website, artbeads.com. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope that it was helpful to you. Please let me know if you have any questions or what you'd like to see next by leaving a comment below. And as always, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you're the first to know when videos like this are out. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!